Hey everybody. I kind of hoped that it wouldn't have to get to this kind of point where I would be making a video about this. But it's gotten to this point that now, from now on, I'm going to be recording a series of vlogs in order just so I can actually prove that, first off, to myself that I'm still alive and that I'm still well, and secondly to the public so that literally they know what's actually been going on. If you've already looked at the title, you will kind of see exactly what it is that, you will see exactly what it is that I'm going to be talking about today. For the past 8 to 9 years, my own Nigerian mother has been conspiring behind my back to kill me. The threats, well, this all started from 2011 with already a very strained relationship between mother and son. We constantly fought and we argued. I was poisoned in 2011 by some bad food left out by her. It looked accidental. Again, in 2012, when I was finishing my degree, around the time of Whitney Houston's death, I had a major lump in my arm, and both times that she had poisoned me, she looked extremely guilt-ridden, guilty. I thought it was just her way of trying to be caring and kind and look after me through my sickness. Little did I know that she was the cause of my sickness. I started a job later that year in May, working around London, and I was approached by my manager, who too was also Nigerian. It wasn't until she mentioned this to me that apparently my own mother could be the one poisoning me. She told me of her mother and how her mother took her two brothers back to Nigeria, dropped them off there, took their British passports, left them stranded in Nigeria alone. These are what you call old wives' tales, old Nigerian wives' tales. You'd never believe that in 2021 in the UK, such behavior and such things still exist, still happen. The ideas of black magic, the ideas of how our parents control and hold over a child, even well into their adulthood, still exist within this Nigerian culture, within this Nigerian mentality. I'm sorry to say, but it's true. It does exist. Because of my own ongoing current situation, I can attest 100% to this. On June 6, 2012, my mother threatened to kill me. Now everybody knows Nigerian people, in the heat of the moment, can get angry and can say a lot of things, but this time was so much different than that. On June 6, 2012, she not only threatened to kill me, she described how she would do it. Her exact words were, "I will snuff you out." She told me that if she would wait till I was asleep and strangle me to death. I asked her in that moment, "Do you really know what you were saying? Because how could anyone or any mother want to kill their own son?" Well, she said she did. She not only threatened that, but she threatened to make me lose my job. She threatened to take away my passport. She gave me 1 week to leave. So I slept with one eye closed, one eye open the next day, June 7th, and on June 8th, I fled the coop for fear of my life. I had no place to live. I had nowhere else to go. Basically just took my bank card and the clothes that I wore that day and left. That's basically how I left. She has my British passport. She has, like she says, my British passport, among other things. I thought that was the end of that. Over the years, even from that day onwards, she was very manipulative and very calculating as well. If anyone's ever watched Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where you see Lisa Vanderpump and where you see the castmates describe her actions and describe the way she talks and the way she manipulates people as very much like movements of pieces on the chessboard, like Bobby Fischer. My mom was very calculated. She knew what she said. She knew what she did. She started sending emails day after day after day that I didn't come back, making it look like I had decided to leave of my own free will. So she told my cousins that I got my own place, that literally I moved out, all these lies. When I saw my cousin in 2012, I told her, "Look, no, that's not true. I'm homeless right now. I'm sleeping on the streets of London right now. And that the only reason because of this was because my mom evicted me and threatened to kill me if I did not leave." That year alone in 2012 was enough to break any human being. I not only slept on the streets of London, was sleeping in a shed in Notting Hill, someone's shed in Notting Hill, but also subjected to some of the worst abject terrors as well as abject poverty anybody could ever experience. I was also consequently drugged and raped by a guy on that street and everything like that. I have experienced such suffering and sadness, but it has taught me not only empathy, but also kindness for my fellow man. That's how I came through it, by finding not only ways to forgive, but finding ways to heal from the experience and use it as a lesson to help other people in the process. Over the years, I have succeeded in trying to at least dig my way out from poverty and homelessness to find myself into a stable job and stable work and a stable accommodation. That was short-lived. Little did I know, not only was my mom using catfish social media accounts to monitor my social medias online, to check where I was going, to check my whereabouts in the places that I was working. She was also fulfilling her threat of making me lose my job by calling various workplaces that I had been employed at. And it was like, for instance, it had the same pattern each time. I would be there, get on with the stuff, get on with the managers, and suddenly one day the managers kind of had it in for me, and I was paranoid back then. But this is no longer paranoia. She was calling up each workplace, trying to get them to get rid of me, filling their heads with all kinds of excuses and stories to try to scare them into firing me, scare them into not wanting to work with me. And the problem with hospitality is that the hospitality industry is a front-facing industry, and I was in a front-facing role. And as far as they were concerned, they couldn't have the appearance, even the slightest appearance of improprieties. So basically, I kept getting canned. Subsequently, shortly afterwards, I didn't know why. By 2015, I ended up having another accident at work, which actually saw me in the worst danger of my life. In order to fulfill her promises, by 2014, she wrote me an email telling me about my father in Nigeria being some kind of witch doctor. That may well be true, but there is no reason why my biological father, who I've never met in my life, the last time apparently that he ever saw me was apparently when I was 3 years old. But apart from that, literally, I've had no contact and been in no way, in my opinion, in danger because of him. Because why would he want to try to come after me now, after 20 years later? So in 2014, when I was 24, she tried to fill my head with this nonsense. I didn't believe it. Again, like most people, I saw this as another old wives' tale, something not to actually take so seriously, but I wish I did, because it wasn't my father trying to kill me, but it was still my mother trying to control my life and trying to do whatever it is that she could do to make my life a living hell. As I said, she was trying to make my life a living hell. Little did I know, by 2015, she'd already incorporated 2 companies under her name that I've only been made recently aware of. One was a limited company, another one was a healthcare company, to which she's used as a front. One to buy and sell properties and items, etc. The other one in order to smuggle in herbs and drugs from Nigeria and other surrounding countries. Little did I know, from 2014 onwards, one of my aunties was aided and abetted in her attempts against my life by smuggling in a rare neurotoxin into this country. And so by end of 2014, I was already seeing the GP because my feet were going numb. And I thought this was because of hours of working on my feet as a waiter. It wasn't. I could move my feet, but I couldn't feel them. I started having also problems in my arms where I was having neuropathic pain, and there was nothing wrong with my body. I used to go to the gym and still be benching 130 kg on the bench press. So the doctors couldn't explain to me what was going on, but I knew something was up, something was wrong. By 2015, my bone snapped, again because of this neurotoxin. And when I was rushed to hospital, which was UCL Hospital in London, I underwent major surgery. Little did I know, this particular neurotoxin, which even after a toxicology screen, because they screened me for intoxicants on the day that I was admitted, it doesn't show up. So they took me into surgery thinking everything was okay. The neurotoxin reacted badly with the anesthetic, and I flatlined twice on the table. All they could tell was that I had some complications, which they couldn't understand why. Then, after all of that, waking up, getting my left arm operated on, my right arm, which was my good arm, which hadn't been affected by anything, was paralyzed, dead. They kept telling me that the feeling could return, but it wasn't. At one point, they'd given up after 2 days because the feeling had not been restored. They were going to place me in an occupational therapy home. And in this moment, in my deepest sadness and in my hour of need, I felt the ray of God upon my arm, because my arm went on fire. And I heard a voice in my head that said, "Ye of little faith," and my arm from the top all the way to the bottom feeling was restored. I didn't care how. The doctors wanted to figure out how my feeling came back, how my nerve damage, which was extensive, had suddenly been undone. I just wanted to get the hell out of the hospital and run for my life. And run for my life I did. Things were still not going well for me. Things were things seemed out of the ordinary. Something just didn't make any sense. This further reinforced this old wives' tale that my dad is some kind of juju witch doctor, which I didn't really believe. Okay, fine, maybe he could be a native doctor, a shaman, whatever you want to call it in Nigeria, but he's not the one after me. I'm not going to buy into this bullshit. So she went to even more extreme great lengths by having me followed across London, literally, to have somebody deliver the neurotoxin, which was through the only way that I could see it, through skin to skin contact, because she had been following me online on social media, trying to hack my accounts and get them taken down. And then she had been trying to as well at the same time. She had also been trying to at the same time reinforce this story to get me to believe it, so that every time I got sick, she could then say, no, this is your father, this is his magic, this is his this is his that. She even tried to convince me that the events of June 6, 2012 are not only a figment of my imagination, that they never happened, according to her, that apparently my father hypnotized me. Everybody knows that you need to have some kind of contact with somebody in order to get hypnotized, be it over the phone, be it via Zoom call, be it via a person, in order for them to plant a suggestion. This makes no sense, and I'm not going to buy into it. The only thing that I am certain of is that I don't trust the woman that is delivering this information. After all of that, by 2018, I was still getting sick. Looked like I was dying. The doctors couldn't figure out why I was chronically fatigued. The doctors did a full tox screen, full blood test, everything on me to figure out what exactly it was. For STDs, for even sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, I came back negative for those. I came back negative for any kind of STD, including HIV. So nothing made sense. They thought it could be autoimmune. But then, when the doctor told me about my hemoglobin, your hemoglobin is basically like a blood cell. It's like a blood cell. And the surface area, how big the surface area depends how much oxygen can be absorbed at any given point. So normal people's hemoglobin has got a good surface area, so for a good rate of oxygen absorption to oxygenate the whole body. In my particular case, my hemoglobin with the surface area was so small, it was abnormally small. The only thing that explains this and explains the rest of my symptoms is neurotoxicity. Someone kept poisoning me with a neurotoxin that couldn't be traced even with a toxicology screen. And she would know how to do it because she herself is an NHS doctor here in the UK. She also travels abroad for work. That's how she's now set up a company that allows her to bring in and out certain particular drugs, even drugs that may not even show up on tox screens. Again, she kept playing the dutiful mother. She has emails, what she will call email proof, so to speak, that she's been helping me, she's been nothing but kind. This was a calculated plan. She was already been planning her alibi, the perfect crime, what a mother will do to her son. And then on top of all of this, after going through everything else, by 2019, I already knew she had me followed, but she confirmed it over the phone to me when she told me that apparently I'm living in a fully furnished flat, and that apparently as well, if she wanted to, she could find my address through the NHS. I already knew she had someone following me in order to figure out that information. I was not living in a fully furnished flat. She did not know that. The only thing she would be able to see from the place that I was living was the front of the kitchen, because I had no screens on the window. And I knew somebody was following me and somebody was watching me, but I didn't want to live and give into this paranoia. So I listened to my doctors, and they wrote off everything as possibly being mental health or possibly being some kind of autoimmune condition. So I kind of believed it. I went the medical route. I decided to be a down-to-earth person, figure this out the normal way. There was nothing normal about this. And guys, here is the kicker. Here is the kicker of all of this. The reason why my mother's been doing all of this is because I am gay. I am a gay black man in the UK. And by Nigerian standards and by Nigerian terms, I should not exist and I should not be alive. That is why she enlisted the help of an auntie and including my sister in order to not only make me sick, but also in order to reinforce this negative stereotype that my dad, who I've never met, is somehow trying to kill me. I don't believe this for a second. The only thing that I do believe is that my mother, who is a doctor here in the UK, has been conspiring to kill me for a very, very long time. It's only when I realized that this year about the neurotoxin that I've started taking precautions and I've started going to the police. It may not be easy for anybody of any race or any ethnicity to be gay. But if you are of Muslim origins, if you are of Nigerian or African origins, you will know very well that it is not only taboo to their family, these are the kind of issues that they kill their family over for. I thought I was safe here in the UK. I thought wrong. I was wrong. My safety is in jeopardy because I have a malevolent mother who is trying to kill her only child. Only son. She has a daughter who has been part of this conspiracy as well. They've done whatever they can do to cut me off from the family, the extended family that is, so that I cannot tell my story. But I am telling my story to anyone and whoever will hear it and listen. This exists. This so-called black magic that Nigerians and Africans talk about is nothing more than psychological warfare and poisons. That's how they reinforce the negative stereotype that such things such as witchcraft exist. It doesn't exist. Nothing can affect you unless you let it affect you. Like Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your explicit consent. I still somehow managed to, after everything she put me through, to thrive and succeed by the grace of God. But she keeps going against God in what she's doing. She refers to herself as a Christian woman. She's already set up her perfect alibi so that it looks like she's done nothing but try to help me. But the truth is that the person that's been behind my ailing health, me losing work at certain points, and me being in hospital in 2015, nearly losing my life on the operating table, and nearly being paralyzed in my right arm as well, is her, is my own mother. I beg of you all, listen to this and listen to it well. Heed it as a cautionary tale. I am a cautionary tale. I am the product of what happens when you have Nigerian parents who do not like you or whichever lifestyle you choose to live. I have another Nigerian cousin from my uncle who is living comfortably with her son and her lesbian partner, and no such thing like this has happened to her. But me, this is what's been going on. And I wanted to make everybody aware of this because I think it's important to get this out there because it happens even today. And right now, because we're living in a very politically correct society, such attacks, such nastiness gets swept under the rug so many times. So I'm asking you all, if you all have experienced something like me, please speak up.